so much for being here in Weslaco. We love Weslaco, we love this city, and we love this library, the Mayor Joby Sanchez Public Library, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of the library, on behalf of the Sanchez family, for being here. We are honored to have you here and to be on this stage. And I would like to invite you to our annual book festival that we have here every March. We had this year our third annual Memorial Mayor Joby Sanchez Book Festival in memory of our dad, and it was an amazing turnout. And we would be honored if you could make time in your schedule to be here as an author. We would love that. And I wanted to ask you something else as well. I'm in education. All of our family we are educators. I'm on the school board, local school board, and I'm also on the Texas Association of School Boards as well. So as you know, we've had a terrible situation with public education, and we've been advocating for that, for our local funds. Funding has been an issue, and I want to see how you feel about that. We have done a lot of the things that you've mentioned, advocating on local level, advocating with our representatives, our legislators, and what else can we do? Because we are kind of being held hostage.
I'm so glad you raised this. I mentioned our three kids. Ulysses is he's in his junior year at El Paso High, one of our great public schools in El Paso. His sister Molly is in her sophomore year. Their brother Henry is in 7th grade at the public middle school in El Paso. And as you alluded, not only are we one of the lowest funded public education systems in America, I think on average, a Texas school teacher is underpaid by $8,000 a year against her peers across the country. That's just the average. In some districts, the average teacher is underpaid by $14,000, $15,000, $18,000 a year. More than half of all Texas public educators work a second or a third job. I've been to probably more restaurants and gas stations and yes, bars in the state of Texas than almost anyone else. So often, the person serving my food behind the cash register or serving me a beer at the bar is a kindergarten teacher or a high school social studies teacher. They are really struggling right now. And as Dr. Sylvia just alluded to, our governor and lieutenant governor and the Republican majority are now proposing that we take the meager public tax dollars that we have devoted to public education and we turn them into something called a voucher, and we send them to private schools. Now, that would be one thing if a family could afford the difference between the voucher, which is I think going to be $7,500, and what private school tuition costs. In El Paso, that might be $12,000 a year, $15,000 a year, very expensive. So you as a family have to come up with another $8,000 or $9,000 a year to meet the difference.
Per
if you can
child.
afford that, maybe the voucher works
Per child.
per child. But think about this, and I'm traveling to some very rural parts of Texas. In these very rural, very Republican, very red parts of our state, there is no private school to which you could send your child. So imagine the indignity of having the meager resources in your public school district in a rural part of Texas taken from that school, away from that teacher and those kids that sit in front of her in the classroom, and sending it to a private school in Dallas or Austin or Houston. It's insult to injury to do that right now. And as you just suggested, we've got to work not just with ourselves and folks who already maybe vote like we do. We've got to find those other people, including Republicans, who are very upset about this. In these rural, red, Republican parts of the state, people are very angry, and they're looking for accountability on this issue. They're looking for leadership. So I think this is a chance for the RGV, the Panhandle, deep East Texas behind the Pine Curtain, all points in between to come together on this issue. And as you know, this will be decided next year in 2025 state legislative session. Greg Abbott has spent millions of dollars. He got a $6 million check, I think, from just one donor on just this one issue to unseat moderate Republicans who are standing up for public schools, to replace them with Republicans who are bought and paid for to support these private school vouchers. And by the way, we have nothing against private schools or families who send their kids to private schools. I think that's wonderful that we have them in Texas. I think the challenge is, and the problem appears, when we use public tax dollars and take them away from our public schools and send those to private schools. The RGV, and I think it's in part because of your leadership and other trustees on the school board here, runs some of the most effective, efficient public education programs in the country. In the middle of the pandemic, you all were awarded one of the most resilient school districts in the United States of America. Not only were those schools educating kids, they were the places where families were getting calories and nutrition when they couldn't go out to the grocery store, when it was hard for them to go to the food bank. This is a model of excellence right here, and we cannot afford to lose it. So thank you for what you're doing. Appreciate it.